What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Awesome Show. Today we're looking at the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Deluxe Wave 3 figures. And in this wave, we've got the In-Space Silver Ranger on the Silver Cycle. So it's cool to get the Cycle. We've already had the In-Space Ranger, so don't really need him, but it is going to be modified and upgraded and stuff. But pretty cool to get the motorcycle. And then we have Blue Senturion from Power Rangers Turbo. And he looks pretty cool. The futuristic cop guy looks pretty awesome. Don't know why he's really a deluxe. I mean, he comes with a little bit more accessories, but he should just be a normal figure to me. So I don't know really why he was deluxe, but we can spin the boxes around and see the figures on the back and their accessories. So there we have the Silver Ranger and the Cycle, and then Blue Centurion with all his accessories there. So like I said, don't really know why he's a deluxe. I guess just to charge more for him since he's got more unique body and everything. But I'm excited about both of these just to get the Silver Cycle from the Silver Ranger and then Blue Centurion himself. So I'm excited for both of those. So hopefully the figures will be decent. I know there's a lot of issues with Power Rangers now, so hopefully we won't have as many issues. But let me get them out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So let's start off with Blue Senturion from Power Rangers Turbo. He's a robotic intergalactic police officer from the future, sent to 1997 with the Millennium Message, which is a warning that the United Alliance of Evil will conquer the universe by the year 2000. But his spaceship begins to have issues and he crash lands on Earth, and he's found by Divatox and reprogrammed to believe that the Turbo Rangers are bad and is sent out to fight them. But Justin is able to reprogram him back, but the Millennium Message is corrupted, so he's not able to deliver it. And once again, I'd say with the figure that the Hasbro team has struck again with a figure that has issues, and we have not major issues at least with him. It's just overall the body seems to be really weird, and there's an issue you might already be noticing, but I think I've come up with a remedy for it. But just overall, it's cool to have Blue Centurion. It's a figure I was excited about when they announced it. I think he looks really cool, stands out a lot, but just having him in hand has just been pretty much a disappointment with both these figures today. Overall, like I said, look-wise, he looks really cool. So he's the intergalactic cop, and he's a robot, so he has a lot of cop stuff with especially like the red and blue lights and stuff. So they have yellow as well, which I assume that's a part of the Japanese culture with red, blue, and yellow. But he's got some yellow lights and stuff, but some like red lights up on his shoulders with some red and blue. Up on his helmet, he's got the red, blue, and yellow lights. I like the visor. Looks like he's wearing sunglasses, and even has like the microphone coming down. Has police there up on his ear. Had a little antenna up there as well for like communications. Has a badge up there on his chest. Of course, lights there in the middle. In the midsection, you can see like wiring and stuff with the different lights and colors. He's got a thing there on his wrist, again with the red, blue, and yellow. And then this all blue robotic body, so nice shiny blue robotic body going all the way down. Some knee pads with red, yellow, and blue, and then black boots there on his feet. Overall, just looks relatively cool. Like I said, looks wise, looks amazing. It's just the execution of the figure could be a lot better. But let's go do movements. So his head can twist all the way around, and as you see, his whole neck is twisting. So he does have the joint up into the head, should be moving, but it feels like it's so tight, so you can barely twist. You can see it twist around a little bit there, but most of the movements comes from the lower neck section there. So it just kind of all twists together as one joint, but he can look down that far and up that far, so again, very little movements back and forth. Then we get the shoulders that can come up to 90, so as this softer piece here that comes out to the side, so it comes up to 90 with the butterfly joint and rotates all the way around. We get the bicep twist, the double elbow joint, which with these, with him being a robot, it kind of makes sense as well. It only bends that far. That's as far as you can get it to go. The wrist can twist around and flex back and forth for this hand. He's got the upper ab crunch here, so crunch back and forth and twist around, and then does have the lower ab crunch. You can kind of see a little bit of cutouts on each of the sides, so allows him to go forward and back. So all the way forward there and all the way back. So pretty decent crunching. Then we get the hips that come up pretty close to 90 and out to the side there. Have a thigh twist around. A double knee joint that feels really stiff, but can at least bend up that far, which isn't too bad. Then we have like an ankle twist. So there's a cutout here, so it can twist all the way around, and then the foot can flex back and forth and twist side to side. So like I said, joint wise, he's pretty standard for the Power Rangers. May have some limitations like with the elbows and stuff just because he is a robot. So like I said there, it makes sense. But as I mentioned, I did have issues with him. Thankfully, I'm not missing any like accessories or have duplicates instead of others, but though thankfully I have everything. The only issue that I noticed is if you see the shoulder pieces, this one's kind of sitting up at an angle and out to the side, and this one's sitting pretty much straight on, and I definitely love the look of this one much more. And so I was like, well, I wonder what the difference is. And looking at it, if you see in here, we have the joint that allows like the butterfly joint movement back and forth and stuff. This shoulder does not have that at all, so it's pretty much just got the arm joint into the peg with this piece floating around, where this one has that additional plastic piece in there. So I think what I'm going to try to do is heat up the arm and get the arm popped out and take that piece out and then pop it back in. So hopefully it'll be sitting on just like this one, so the shoulder piece sits nice and flat on there, and it still allows like the butterfly joint back and forth. It just doesn't have that extra plastic piece in there to cover it. And then I do also have an issue with like the red jewel or whatever piece of plastic here is like sitting up and out of the section there, so I want to try and like rip that out and get it replaced or something if I can even do that. So yeah, I just have some issues with this. And then like the overall figure wise, he seems to be a little bit weird. It's almost like he's got like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's almost like he's got like had dirty hands all over him or something. Like he came out of the box like that. Like he looks like he's had something on him and then they tried to like clean it off and didn't do too well. So he looks like a little bit weird and kind of just dirty or something. Like I don't know how to explain it. Just in real life, he looks a little bit awkward. So again, that's why I said issues continuing on with the Power Rangers figures, but Silver Ranger is going to be much worse. But as I mentioned, thankfully we did get all the accessories. So for accessories, we get a set of additional hands. So I have hands here with trigger fingers. So it's nice to have those, especially for the accessories. And for those accessories, we get the Centurion Synergizer, which can transform into different things. So here it is, I'd say almost like a badge mode or something, but it's got the red, yellow, and blue lights on it. And with this, we can stick it into the holster, which on his thighs here, he just has these holsters that are flat to his thighs. But we get some additional holsters that we can switch them out, so we can switch it out for each side here. So let's do that. So there's the holster switched out. So now they have the openings in there. And with that, we can take the Synergizer and just stick it down into the holster there just like that. So it just sticks in there and you can put that on either side, obviously. But it's cool to have that, but it does transform into different weapons. So we get those weapons as well. So first we get the gun version. So again, it's his Synergizer just folded out into the gun form. So it looks pretty cool there. So let's go and put his hand. I did go and switch out for one of the trigger hands. So let's put this in. So then he's got the Synergizer in the gun form there in his hand. And if you can't tell, it does have a hole in the end of it there. So we can put an accessory. So we get a blast effect accessory that we can slide in the end. So there we can have that effect in the end of the gun there. So now he's like shooting at somebody, but it also goes into a baton form as well. So here we have it in the baton again, all folded out with it there. So let's put this in the hand. So there's the baton. Of course, it was all bent up in the package, so we'll have to get that straightened out. But there he's got the baton in his hand. So we can go and switch both his hands out if we wanted to give him the gun and the baton. But I think for me, just put on my shelf, I'll just probably put in the gun in his hand. But pretty cool to have the different options there for him. And finally, he comes with a whistle. So he uses a whistle in the show. So we get this little tiny whistle. I'm surprised I haven't lost it. And I don't know how you'd really get it into his hands and then of course put it up to his mouth as a whistle, but we do have that as well. I wish it'd be stored on him somewhere, but this will get easily lost, so I have to be careful with that. But overall, this Blue Senturion isn't bad. Like I said, just the thing with the shoulders, which hopefully I can just get it fixed so I can have the nice sitting flatter down version of the shoulder because I like that much more. And another issue I had was his ankles, that his ankles were really weak, so I ended up just flipping his feet around. So his feet were facing the opposite direction. Obviously they were facing forward, but they were technically in the opposite direction, and I ended up just taking the feet, you know how you can twist them side to side, and you just twist them all the way around and then spun the ankle around to have it facing forward. And that stiffened up the feet a lot because before they were so weak I couldn't even get him to stand. So with that, it stiffened up the feet a little. Now I can get him to stand. He still has issues every now and then, but he stands up a lot better. So I'm glad I was able to switch that around so I'd at least have a figure able to stand up. But it's cool to have Blue Centurion now to add with our Turbo. Of course, we don't have any Turbo Rangers, but we do have the Phantom Ranger from Turbo, and they kind of team up time to time. So it's cool to have both of them there together. So we have our team of Phantom Ranger and Blue Centurion from Power Rangers Turbo. But as I mentioned, we just need the Turbo Rangers now to actually go along with them. And that brings us to our Silver and Space Ranger and the Silver Cycle. Of course, we'll move the Cycle out of the way. And just like at the Ranger, and as I mentioned, I do have a lot of issues with this figure. At least, thankfully, I have the other In Space Silver Ranger that I can just keep instead of this one because I was going to, replace it. But he has just so many issues, I'm not going to switch it out. Now, body-wise stuff, everything looks fine about him, and I'll bring in the old one to compare. There's very little difference. It's just a little bit of color variation is about it. But everything else is the same, except for that this one has the pinless joints, so he's got the pinless elbows and knees. But that's where he also comes into issues, especially in the knees. His knees are so weak, especially this leg. You can like barely touch it and it starts bending there, and it just, as you can see, just flops back and forth. And then he also, much like the Blue Time Force Ranger, has issues with the hips where he's kind of like floppy side to side. So I don't like these new hips they've added. I feel they did it just like for these so you can get them easier onto like the motorcycles and stuff. But if they do them for all the Rangers, I'm going to be very disappointed, and they just are too weak and floppy and stuff. And so with his floppy legs and the hips there, he just does not stand very easily at all. So I just have so many issues with this. So I'm glad I have that other one and wasn't relying on this one. But overall, like I said, look wise, he's going to be pretty much the same. But let's go and do his movements so his head can twist all the way around. And as you see, the neck joints, once again, the bottom's what's doing all the twisting. The top isn't really doing much there, but it can move back and forth a little. And then with both of them can move back and forth that much. The shoulders can come up to 90 with the butterfly joint and rotate all the way around. We We get a bicep twist, the double elbow joint that can bend up that far, so not bad there. The wrist can twist all the way around and then hinge up and down for this hand, although you don't get too much because it's deep in there, so it can move back and forth a little. We get the up rab crunch, so crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. Then we get the low rab crunch there as well, so crunching further forward and further back, which it's hard to get. Like a belt seems to be fighting with a lot. You can get back pretty decent, but forward is just about there. So again, not the best with the joints. The hips can come up to 90 and out to the side. Got a thigh twist all the way around, as I showed the really weak knee joint that can bend up that far to the back. A shin twist at the top of the boot, and then the foot flexes back and forth and twists side to side. So he has the standard Lightning Collection movements, just like I said, with the pinless joints. It's like I've mentioned it with Marvel Legends. Usually the joints are real stiff, so you have to be careful breaking them loose. But once you get them broke loose, they're pretty nice. Like the elbows don't really have any issues. They're still relatively stiff, but do allow it to move and everything. So I like that. But on the knee here, you just have this sometimes where you can't really control it. And so now we have this really loose knee and can't really do anything about it. And he just makes him really hard to stand up. And so with that, trying to get him just to stand up at all is awkward and weird. And he's always standing at an angle and just stuff's always off about him. And it's just really annoying. Now, before we look at other stuff, we'll bring in that older version. So here is that, which I don't know how much will stand off on camera, but the color changes are a little bit different. So the newer one is a little bit darker shade of silver. So like compared to, again, I don't know how much you can really see it, but the silver is just a little bit darker. The gold is also a little bit darker. And so it seems like stuff's more made out of it. So like this one has the bell around the waist, is you can definitely sort of tell it's just been painted over in gold, where this one seems to be molded out of gold color. So that kind of matches in there. But like I said, this one has a little bit lighter shade of gold. You can see that there. And then the green boxes on the chest. The newer one has the bigger boxes, where this one's smaller. So that doesn't really matter too much. And then noticing stuff that you probably won't be able to see or notice all on camera, that the new one, the boots are all white. So like the lower actual like feet boot parts are really white, and then the upper boot sections are more of like a yellow, so like they've yellowed a little. We're like on the older one where it's all just the yellowed color. So I like the uniformity there. We're having the standout of the really clean white boots with the yellowish legs. So I don't like how that stands out a lot. But overall, like I said, I'm definitely glad that I do have this older one that I'll just keep using as the one on my shelf, and this one will probably just be going in a storage box and won't ever be seen or used again. But accessories for it's going to come with all the same accessories. So he has 2 grip hands on already. So we get a flat palm hand and a fist hand. We get the unmasked head of Zane there, so Justin Nemo's head. This one, he looks more angry and stuff though, so you probably have this as like the evil version or whatever. But yeah, it just has his face. Still doesn't look that good, but I love the hair color and everything there for him. And he comes with the super silverizer, so the weapon that the other one had. So this it is in blaster mode, so where it's like a gun, or it can have the blade folded out with like the lightsaber blue blade there and have that as well. But like I said, since I'm not going to use this figure, I'm not going to do any of that with it. But then we also get the silver cycle, which is thankfully the saving grace from this set, which looks really cool. Of course, it'd be nice if it like folded up like the old toy where you can fold up into the Galaxy Glider type thing, but it doesn't do that. But it just overall looks nice. It's just another motorcycle, so it's all in silver since it's the Silver Rangers. We have the Mega Ranger logo there. It's like the envelope looking logo there, and up on the front have some nice headlights overall. Of course, like the windshield there with the handlebars and all sorts of gauges and stuff in there. The gas tank and engine, have a kickstand. Of course, the wheels, like I said, that usually fold up and out of the way. The exhaust there on the back of it and stuff. So overall, just looks cool with the nice fin and stuff, just all in silver. Of course, not a whole lot of details and paint into it, just pretty much silver and then black with the gold details on it. But overall, it does work and looks relatively good, and you can have it stand up with the kickstand and everything, so it just stands there real nice. And we can then try and put the Silver Ranger on it. So there's the Silver Ranger on the cycle. And of course, I did use the newer one. Since it has the looser joints and stuff, it'd probably be overall much easier to get on the cycle. And for me, I found it the easiest thing is just to get the hands gripped on first and then just try and force it from there. So have the arms where they're bent out a little so it doesn't look too weird, so it can bend at the elbows there, and then just force his butt down on the seat, and then just try to bend his legs around wherever you need to get his feet onto the little side pieces here, so where you can put his feet on the pegs and stuff there, so he sits on it. And so overall, he relatively fits pretty nice. So I could just leave the Silver Ranger like this, so use this crappier Silver Ranger and just keep him stored up on the bike. But I tend to always put all my Rangers with the teams up on the shelf and then store the bike somewhere else. But he does look pretty cool and decent there. And like I said, with that, I guess I wouldn't really have any issues with him standing up or anything, so we can have that there. But of course, I may just, like I said, put him in storage, and if I ever want to use this cycle, use it with that old Silver Ranger if he'll fit on there. But it looks pretty cool with the Ranger actually on it. Like, I really like that look and design and stuff. Like I said, it fits pretty well with the look and all that, so I like that much. I just wish the actual figure itself would be much better, and this would be a really cool set. But with it being a crappy figure, we only really get about half of the set, so paying a higher price and only half of being worth anything kind of stinks. But overall, like I said, once you get the Ranger on it, that does look pretty cool there. So awesome to have the Silver Ranger and the Silver Cycle. Just wish the the Ranger was much cooler than it is. Well, there we have our Power Rangers Lightning Collection Deluxe Wave 3 figures with the Blue Senturion from Power Rangers Turbo and the Silver in Space Ranger with Silver Cycle from Power Rangers in Space. So both of them are decent. Like I said, they definitely have a lot of issues. I don't know what's going on with the Power Ranger team at Hasbro, why everything's just having so many issues and everything right now. But I do really like the Blue Senturion. Like I said, I have issues with him, but I can try and fix like the shoulders. And overall, he'll be a good figure still to add to the shelf. Just wish he was a little bit better. And then the Silver, like I said, the Ranger itself isn't worth anything, but the Cycle is really cool. So I do like having that at least. But let me know what you thought of the figures down in the comments. Do you have any issues with yours, or are you passing on these? Just let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed my review, let me know with a thumbs up. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.